so it is what it is. We're here. And I started doing a live, but Sokka was at a casino and I didn't know. That's okay. And Gio let me down, as usual. And some weird people were there. And I was like, I am not going to smoke this level of cigar with people that are just pissing me off. And the people that I wanted to be there weren't. That's okay. Some nights are just off. It's like a night that you thought you were going to get laid and it just didn't go right. So either you just go home or just do it yourself. But listen, it just accept it. Tomorrow's another day. There are a lot of guys that got jammed up for a DV charge that if they just would accept it, the night was over. Maybe they wouldn't threw, the beer bottle on the wall, or maybe they wouldn't have punched the TV. And, if they were like, well, the night's over, like, going to bed. I'm saying, though, if they would have went in the other room in the closet and just rubbed it out and then go to sleep, tomorrow's another day. Like, if you're having a bad moment and you're getting really mad, think about what you want for breakfast tomorrow. And go, fuck, like, oh man, I had a really bad day, but tomorrow I'm going to have bagels and lox. I'm going to fuck that shit up. I'm going to bed. I'm going to get up tomorrow, make a nice pancake breakfast. If it's late night and like the day's so screwed up and you're like, no matter what you did that night, it's all wrong, stop what you're doing and then go to bed. You can't get arrested for going to sleep. Unless if like you're a train conductor. Train conductors are not supposed to go to sleep. So, anyways, but, go to sleep and wake up, whatever you want. Okay, make yourself some breakfast. Nobody got in trouble for making breakfast. Unless if you're poisoning the breakfast and giving it to your spouse so you can collect a life insurance policy and also not have to go through a divorce and lose all your assets and pay child support, alimony, and etc. But normally poisoning is a woman's way. And normally women poison their husband. Men don't really do poisoning. That's long-term planning. Men might drive the car off the cliff. I've heard of a story of a guy, back in the day, the airbags used to have a key for the passenger. And like in the old Fords and Chevys, you could turn off the airbag for the right. Because in case if you have a small child in the front, because back in the day, you could put kids in the front seat because nobody cared. So you could turn off the airbag because if you had a 5-year-old kid in the front seat, the airbag could kill him. So I heard of a story of a guy turning off the airbag while his wife was in the front on purpose. Now, how could they prove that in court? But anyways, that's the story I heard. And he drove into a pole, but only on the passenger side. Like he clearly, it wasn't like in the middle of the truck. It was only like he made sure he drove into that pole in front of the right passenger side. He made sure his wife didn't make it. Anyways, this is the Churchill Carlito, not the Don Carlos. It's the first time I'm having it, and it's delicious. Now, you have Don Carlos the man, Don Carlos Personal Reserve, and then the Prometheus Don Carlos, and then there was a 2017. You had the Prometheus Don Carlos. Ironically, only the Prometheus Don Carlos wasn't a Cameroon wrapper. It was Ecuadorian Habano, I think. When the Prometheus lines are made by Fuente, obviously, but they have the higher-end boxes by Prometheus, and they sell cutters and lighters and etc. Very nice. And long story short, and they're also, I believe, aged longer. So you might be into that or not. Is what it is. But in the Don Carlos line, the only one I believe without the Cameron wrapper was the God of Fire Don Carlos, which I found strange. This is the Carlito, which I never had, and this is in Churchill, but it is Cameroon, and the rest is the Fuente Dominican tobacco. It's an absolute banger. It's an absolute winner. If you like the Fuente regular Don Carlos, yeah, you'll love this because it's even better. Price point, I thought I saw kind of price points on a website. Was it like 30,000 change? Which seems affordable for high-end luxury cigars. I don't know, though, if with the Prometheus stuff, though, there's as much gouge as the more exotic opuses and etc. like that, where guys go crazy for that shit. I don't know if the Prometheuses are as collectible than as all the opuses or the ones that come in like those books. I mean, boxes that kind of look like books. I remember the mayor collecting a lot of those boxes of opuses that was it Destinos but it looked kind of like a book, something like that. We're at a medium plus. We're at a rich toastiness, caramel, nutty, black pepper, cinnamon, beautiful, delicious cigar. Long, heavy finish. It was stronger start off than like a regular Don Carlos. More flavor, more powerful. And ironically, it's listed on the website Prometheus as the strongest. Cigar they have on the Prometheus line. This is on the website right now. I looked at it today. So it is what it is. A lot going on. Now this one though, it says 2010. I gotta have to look that up because I don't know what that means. Like, was this meaning that tobacco or some of the tobacco from the Fuente Chateau, it was a yield from that year or grown that year, and then they rolled a cigar like in 2020. I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. Do I think the cigar was released in 2010 and Sacco bought it and then he's had it for 14 years? That I don't know either. I don't know that much, but I got to find out. If it was made in 2010, like released, it didn't age out. That's a good thing, but I don't know what happened. I'm going to look it up. It's delicious. It follows the lineage of the classic Don Carlos, whether you like any of those Don Carlos, minus the God of Fire Don Carlos, because that's not the wrapper dictates where the flavor is going to go. Because Cameroon doesn't feel like a Connecticut shade. Connecticut shade doesn't feel like Connecticut broadleaf. And Connecticut broadleaf doesn't feel like Ecuador Habano. And Ecuador Habano doesn't feel like Mexican San Andreas. And Mexican San Andreas doesn't feel like Nicaraguan Habano. And Nicaraguan Habano doesn't feel like Nicaraguan Ligero, or Nicaraguan Ligero doesn't feel like a Connecticut shade Habano splice blend where they made their own type of blend. They tweaked it, like on the Cohiba Macassar, and that doesn't feel like Brazilian Matafina. Brazilian Matafina doesn't feel like. Am I still doing this? Am I? Does it feel like Pennsylvania broadleaf? Pennsylvania broadleaf does not feel like Florida sun-grown. Florida sun-grown doesn't feel like Cuban shade. Cuban shade doesn't feel like. It doesn't feel like Ecuadorian Sumatra, and Ecuadorian Sumatra, it doesn't feel like Indonesian or, Indonesian Sumatra. It doesn't feel like that. You know what I'm saying, though? So we're done with that. And when people say those names, what are they generally dictating to when it's on the wrapper? You could put, you could put Mexican San Andreas in the filler, and you got a Connecticut shade wrapper. Why does it feel like a Connecticut shade cigar? Because the wrapper is the perimeter. Picture the wrapper. How do you know what the United States is? Well, we're really almost not anymore, but because the United States, it's not what the United States is, it's what it isn't. And how do you know where the line is, where it's not? It's kind of like your property line, the fence line. So everything outside the property is not yours, but everything on the inside of the property is yours. And the wrapper's like a fence line. It's like a border, saying outside of this, it's none of my fucking business. Well, we used to be like that before World War I, and then World War II, where we wanted to be mind our own business, as the French say, laissez-faire, none of my fucking business. But because of the war machine and the military-industrial complex, which is not the military itself, but picture, okay, you know who needs people to play basketball the most? The people that make the fucking basketballs. I can't stress that enough. You know who needs a war the most? Is it the military? is it the civilians that they're going to take and send to war and die and get maimed and then deny their VA claims? No, it's the guy that makes the tank. It's the guy that makes the machine guns. The guy that makes the ammo. The guy that fucking, you know what I'm saying, though? The guy that makes the jet. GE makes your refrigerator. GE makes a lot of shit for the military. Jets, planes, whatever the fuck, missiles, fucking computer chips. GE also owns Universal. There you go, Universal. Watch your movies made by a military industrial complex. You're wondering how they got the permits and the rights to film on like a naval carrier? Well, because GE probably fucking built a lot of the shit in it. Then, so GE owns Universal. GE owns NBC. So NBC's going to have, NBC News. And then they're going to tell you the news. Oh, we might be going to war. How do you know? Well, the people that own us, that own Universal, that also own GE refrigerators, that also make stuff, that explodes. They need to move stock. And war is good for business. And then they have their news company through NBC let you know what's going to happen. Or it's going to be okay. And they're going to tell you who the bad guy is. Just like in a movie. This is the good guy. This is the bad guy. Why? They need to tell you who the villain is because they think you're stupid. And I kind of agree with them. I don't agree why they do it. But most people are so stupid. They're so dumb. And so that's how they get away with it because you're uneducated. And I'm not talking about education. As Mark Twain said, a person who doesn't read is uneducated. A person who, he said if they don't read, they're uninformed. And he says if they do read, they're misinformed. And I can't stress that enough. Also, NBC, which is owned by GE, that owns Universal, that makes bombs, they also own like Universal Music, so you can have the soundtrack. So when you're going to war and you got your soundtrack from a movie, right? And you fucking can listen to your fucking music. Yeah. And it's all connected. So you can watch the sports game and have the jets fly over that are made by Universal, GE, and have the sportscaster. And everyone's sitting there eating $12 hot dogs and $18 Bud Lights. And your refrigerator company is running the fucking world. What a great cigar. Really great cigar. A really great cigar. I'm going to go. I'll come back. Top tier cigar. Sacco. Much appreciation. Top tier Cameroon. Better than a regular Don Carlos? Yeah. As good as the personal reserve? Yes. The question is, how much time is on this? Is it going to pick up? Right now, the personal reserve generally I think is Robusto. And generally, by after an inch or two into it, it really ramps up. So the question is this really going to really ramp up? It's also a large size. You don't get personal reserve in Churchill. I don't believe so. Finish is fantastic. I'll come back. Was your refrigerator running? Well. We're back. I had to put my other glove on, but I got to take the band off. Burning straight through this. Phenomenal. Now, from what I read online, so this Carlito, where did I put that? It says 2010 on this. And online, I guess with Prometheus line, they hold their cigars for 3 years, then they release them. And I think they're small batch. I'm pretty sure on that. So that would make this 2010 Carlitos what it said online from back then. It was like message boards saying, and there was one thing, it was like a review saying, this cigar was released 2013. So is this 11-year released and made 2010? And obviously, they already had aged tobacco, and then they released it. They released it from Fuente to Prometheus, and then Prometheus holds their cigars for 3 years, and they put them in their fancy boxes. In 2013. So in reality, talking about a cigar made, forget about when the tobacco was grown, I don't know, 2006, 7, I don't know. And then we're talking about cigar was made 2010. It says 2010. That's what this means from what I've read, and I could be wrong. And then and it says online that these were released in 2013. So I don't know when Sacco bought this. He could have bought it, somebody held on to it and he bought online. I don't know. The question is, did this cigar age out? No. It's phenomenal. It's a gentle medium full right now, getting deep into the second third, almost the last third. It has been absolutely enjoyable every puff. I'm just confused on the production. It says 2010. It says online they released in 2013. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's up there. That's oof. Wow, touching my choach. That's a godlike cigar. The question is, do I think it's at least an equal experience to the Personal Reserve? Do I think it's maybe a little better than Personal Reserve? It might be by a little. I can't believe how much time is on this cigar. And it's still solid at a gentle medium full with a long, heavy finish. Sweet, syrupy, cinnamon, nutty, black pepper, toasty, rich cedar. About 65% to darkness. Long, heavy finish with some slight floral notes. My goodness. Sacco, did you really send me a cigar that was made in 2010 and released 2013? Basically, you couldn't buy this till 2013. Did you send me a cigar that was released 11 years ago? Now, the new Carlitos, or whatever the last batch is, I don't know if they release it every year, from 3 years before that when it was made. I don't know how that works. But, that's a godlike cigar. Every puff is it's almost at the pinnacle of perfection in the Fuente lineup. In the Don, well, are we really I guess I am going to compare this within the Don Carlos universe, because it is a Cameroon wrapper with all Dominican Fuente tobacco there. And even though it's not called Don Carlos, it's called Carlito. The Don Carlos line are all Hemingway. Are all Cameroon, minus the Don Carlos God of Fire. So, excuse me, it's cold out. It's like 12 degrees. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. No, I gotta say that's a 4.9. That's a 4.9. That is one. That is a 4.9. that's not only going to be up there in the realm of one of the best Fuentes I ever had. It's up there in one of the best Cameroon cigars I ever had. If that's really the case, where it's because it says 2010, and on the internet it says 2010s were released 2013, and this thing really has 11 years post-released, and it's 14 years post-production. I still can't believe it's still a gentle medium full, like 70% strength. So for a Cameroon, and to be this sophisticated, so smooth, but still have a good amount of black pepper spice, and the cinnamon's still there, and it's syrupy, and it's nutty, and cedar. It's toasty, and it had a little floral notes to it. Bro, we're done here. That's a 4.9. Dude. I didn't realize, I knew it was going to be a great cigar, but high-end Fuente really never disappoints, and high-end Fuente Cameroons really don't disappoint. That is a super banger. That beats Personal Reserve. But usability, I don't think no one's going to find 2010 release 2013 Carlitos. I don't think you're going to find it. So go ahead and try another Carlito. I don't know what years they have now. I don't know what years they released now. I don't know, is there a 2020 Carlito that was released in 2023? I don't know. I can't speak on those cigars, being that they'd be newer and younger. But I'm sure they're still great. They'll just be probably even a little stronger. I'm really surprised that this cigar still has some balls to it for a cigar made in 2010. That's what it says online. I keep saying it because that's what I read, and I'm adding the caveat that I could be wrong. But that's what I read about it. Nonetheless, absolute perfection. Absolutely delicious. I could smoke this cigar every day. Oh, I can't afford to, and I couldn't find him. I don't have a time machine. Easy to love. Oh, bro. This is the kind of cigar that when you die, if you make it to the pearly gates and they let you in, this would be a good cigar to welcome you to. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Right there, it's a solid medium full. We're at 75% strength right there. It's a banger. It's a winner. I'm out of here. I'll see you around. I don't want this cigar to end. The flavor is perfect. This is Fuente Cameroon perfection. I'm going to go now because I'm starting to get a little sentimental. This is the point where a cigar can almost make Richie cry. We'll see you around. You stay fresh. 4.9 Don, 4.9 Fuente, 4.9 Prometheus, God of Fire, made by Fuente, Carlito, Cameroon, Dominican, 2010, released 2013. Banger.